Hello again, it's Jennifer with Watercolor Girlfriend. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to talk about some inexpensive ways to save money when you buy your watercolor painting supplies, things that you can get on a budget. Enjoy the video. I was thinking first we should talk about just watercolor palettes, and the ones that I have I thought I would show you. And I have three here that are, the very inexpensive watercolor palettes that you can get at maybe your dollar store. I need to go and check there. But this is like a Target, that if you're from the US, they have a section where you can buy things like under $5. And that came with a simple set that you could travel with. This one, I have had this one for quite a while. I think, get this at like a hobby store, but still nothing real expensive. And one of my favorites, look at this. I might have even got it at a rummage sale for $3. Oh, maybe I cut that off in the video there. And then it has a nice, even a palette with it. It's really kind of cool. And as it depletes, as you have used up your watercolors here, I just add my own with some tubes that I'll buy. So you have, your own palette that you can use forever. And it has a spot for your brush, so you can even travel with this if it's not too big. Fantastic. Then there, and then we talked about this one, and this one comes with a brush. It's okay. It's not too firm, which is nice, so it gives you a little bit of give, and it's not huge, so you could bring along another one. And it has a little, I guess I can't really get this out, but if it were me, I would take this out and maybe even cut up some paper. Maybe I wouldn't even have to take this part out. You could put a couple pieces of paper in there this size, cut down, and you'd have a little travel kit that you could always just bring with you, set up on a table, take outside in your backyard. And then it was fun. It actually came with its own color chart. And, so I've got those set aside. Then there's room for you to maybe add some that you've mixed to see how those look. Nice. Art 101. I'm not sure if you can look that up or not, but was nice and inexpensive. And again, it's a kit that you can refill as time goes on with the colors that you restock. And this one, yes, this is a very inexpensive one. This might have been from Walmart many years ago. Target actually tells me that might have been in one of those bins up front. I can't remember on this one. I haven't used this one as much, and for some reason there's little bits coming out, but that's okay. But I have also, looks like, replaced some of the colors that I've used with some that I have gotten from a tube. And then it has a nice palette, a spot for your brush, and boom, you've got yourself a nice little kit. And it's definitely under $10. And the colors I find are fine. I wanted to show you some of what I've painted with those as well. I'll get to those. I wanted to discuss a couple other of the items that I use in my paintings that you've seen me use in the past. There are some things that are expensive that I own, so I won't discuss those today, but I do bring out the things that are, I would definitely say, under $10. These are some watercolor pencils. There's some traditional colored pencils in there as well, but I got these at a rummage sale many years ago, a few bucks, and there's a bigger selection that I have, that I've included over here, and then I've purchased others to include with the set. so that I can expand on what I have here. Oh, look, here's a white one, and for some reason I bought another one. Maybe when I was traveling. But it was $1.50. That's not too bad. And you know, you can add in as you can afford it, as your budget allows, and you know, be conservative. Buy one and really enjoy it. No need to buy a kit even. These came individually, which was nice, so I could just pick the colors I wanted. I got a nice little kit. Now this was a little while ago when I got this, but you can always go also online, you know, some of the social media platforms. You can search on Marketplace and search for watercolors, art supplies, you know, all sorts of used stuff that I see all the time. I actually got a set of liquid watercolor in that way. I do think I paid $20 and I got 10 different colors, and I think they're $40 when you buy them new, like $39. And so I got them for $20, and it was a deal for me. I'm like, I don't know, am I gonna use those? You know how it is? You're like, I bought this and it turns out to be terrible. And so I was glad I didn't buy the ones that were new. It turns out, and I tried them a couple of times and I didn't like them. And I was like, well, I'm glad I only, you know, paid half. And then I decided to try them again, and I've really fallen in love, and I wish they had more colors. So I did venture out and look at another line of colors, but I'm cautious when I purchase a new supply, because you know, you never know. Oil pastels. These were inexpensive. I got these at a big box store. I got them at Walmart. They kind of jumped out at me. I think the whole package was $6 or $7, which, you know, I'm really just probably gonna use white. But I say that now, similar to the liquid watercolors. I don't know if I really need them or want to try them. But, you know, I should explore what the other colors look like for me. And, you know, $7 for one white oil pastel is not a bargain. But it's also in my hometown, and I didn't have to travel a half an hour. So I figure I save the time and money that way. You could have probably ordered them. Maybe you can order just white if that's something you like, or whatever color individually and get them for less. That I don't know. Maybe you could even split it. Say, you know, you like a few colors and your friend likes a few colors, and you split the cost of the kit. And what else did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about, so I do use a lot of water-soluble crayons, and these are expensive. I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, this kit that I bought was probably $35 or $40. So these are something that you would definitely need to invest in. At the same time, they have lasted me that long because I don't use them a lot. You know, I don't use a lot of them. And this is just a small, amount of what comes in the kit. I have another 2 envelopes. I have another 2 containers that hold these. So there is a lot in that supply, in that kit. You could, I sometimes use a white crayon instead of the oil pastel, which is absolutely fine. And these, I think, cost, I don't know, 79 cents for a whole kit of those, and there's no reason why you couldn't use these instead of like a water-soluble crayon on top of some of the paintings. Let me see if I can show that to you. Okay, so I thought I'd compare. I'm actually going to get some of this stuff out of here. I've talked about already. So this is the water-soluble crayon. I hope you can see that. And it's lovely. And it gives you a texture kind of like a crayon, but you put water over it and it kind of starts to bleed and blend and do all sorts of cool things. I dip them in water and yep, they are cool. However, I don't see why you couldn't use a red crayon to give you a certain feel like this. You wouldn't be able to like blend it afterwards with the water, but that's okay. It can give you a nice texture, another level of depth and interest to your painting. I want to do some examples of some of the stuff that I have here after I've discussed all the supplies. So we'll talk about that one for sure. So, not a problem. And stencils. Let me grab a stencil. So stencils, as I have on a number of my paintings, I love to use stencils. You can find these inexpensively. Can you even see that anymore? Inexpensively at, a big box store. And you don't have to just use, this is just numbers. You don't have to use just 5 or 8 or how they are. What I did the other day was I drew on the stencil of an 8 and then I combined it again with an 8. And so now it's more of like a filigree or some sort of loop-de-loop. And you would never know that's a bunch of 8s put together. You could do even more of them. And there's a bunch of different symbols on here. You could combine 8s with 5s and see what you get. It just, a lot of what people talk about with intuitive painting is kind of curiosity. What will this look like when I put this on my painting? What will this look like when I add this to the paper? And it's not always successful, and maybe you have to cover it up later because you really didn't like it, but it's all about being curious with how you can make those cool things come to life on your painting. So what else do we have? Palettes. Palettes don't have to be expensive. I used to, oh shoot, I don't have it here anymore. I used to use a plate and it was fine. You just kept your paints around the edge, did not mix them. No problem, you can get a plate inexpensively at the dollar store or big box store, rummage sale, anywhere. Look for ideas for palettes whenever you're out. This palette I think cost me $7 or $8 and I don't love it, I'll be honest. Kind of wish I could design my own palette. But it's, got a hole so you can hold it, but that's probably more for acrylics or oils maybe. I would never use this, so it's like kind of annoying that it's even there. This is something to hold your brushes, but I don't know that anybody ever does that. It didn't really work for me, so I actually pulled it apart and made it work for me. So, be creative with what you find for a palette. Like I said, I think it was $8. I really wanted something that was plastic and that I could close. And now I never do any of those things. Okay, whatever. Let's talk about masking fluid, because if that's something you want to explore, it is a really fun, let me move these so they're not reflecting. It is a really fun media. I can't say don't buy this because it is pricey. And this $12, that wasn't even that long ago. And whew, yeah, I kind of go through it quickly, kind of dries on things and is wasted. But maybe if you have a friend that also likes to play with watercolors, you could split it, get some sort of jar, and then it's $6. And, that could work really easily to give you an extra supply for not a lot of money. A couple other things before I move on to paper are just things like Q-tips. Those are easy. And I keep reusing them. So there's plenty of those in a box to keep you in in Q-tips for a long time. This I actually just kind of found in something else. These palettes were inexpensive. Sponges, if that's some technique that you want to do. This was a sponge we used for something else, and I just started cutting pieces off of it. And the gel pen. This was only a couple of bucks. And you know, I would think that, you know, for under $30 you could set up almost all of those things. For under $10 you could get a thing of watercolors and a pad of paper. The only other thing that I have spent more money on is a brush. This is probably where I've spent the most per product other than paper. The thing, and the thing is, then I have it for almost forever, you know, if I take good care of it. So this might be where you have a larger expense and you want to, you know, make a good choice, something that you're going to use. This is a 12 round. I did alter it to my own interests. It had like a tip that came out a little bit, so you could make real delicate line work and stuff, which doesn't really interest me more than it did the size of a round brush. And I use this a lot. Then I use this brush. This is a cheap brush I got in a kit with like 5 brushes in it. This is a little different, but something like this. So you could go to a big box hobby store and they, you know, they have like 3 or 4 or 5 in a pack. And I do like to, this is actually for oil paints, but I use them, or acrylics. I use them with my watercolor. Who cares? And I use the backs to make texture. You know, these few, this I don't actually use this one so much. But let's see what other one I have in here that I really enjoy. I do really enjoy this one. I don't know where it came from, and I haven't been able to find it again. And it's so worn that it says it's an 8 something something. So, you know, that goes to show I've had it a very long time. And this is, so these 4, even these 3 are what I really use a lot of. Oh, I'm sorry, I do also use this smaller one. One brush, you know, keep your eye on it, be very protective of it, take good care of it, and you'll have it for a really long time. So then on to paper. And I know a lot of people think you should really spend a lot of money on your papers so that you get the best looking paints and, I'm sorry, the best looking artwork that you can, and that is absolutely fair. But if that's not in your budget, I certainly wouldn't want you to let that prevent you from having fun with watercolor, because it can be a really great stress reliever. So I would hate for any of the expensive things to stress you out and make you think that you can't also participate in watercolor fun. Because this came as a 3-pack. I have 2 of them. I don't know where I put the other one. It's probably been used and stored away. But this came as a, oh, maybe it's only a 2-pack. 2 or 3-pack. It wasn't that expensive. I would say it was even maybe under $10. It is a smooth, which I like. So, you know, it mimics the hot press. That's what they're calling it. It is like a 5x7, 5x8. I think it's 5x7. It tells me it's 8-inch, but I have not measured it. And it's ring bound, which I really like. And, you know, I don't know that you need this, but then you could cut along that line if you wanted to. And it's a thick paper, which if you can find an inexpensive thick paper, that's fantastic, because that's going to get you a lot of the good qualities of a paper that you're looking for without the price. And one of the reasons this isn't less expensive is because it's wood pulp. Nowhere on here does it tell me that it's a cotton paper. A cotton paper is going to be much more expensive. It's going to be lovely, absolutely. You're going to really enjoy it, but don't, if it's not in your budget, don't feel bad, because it can be pricey, and if you're playing around with what you want to paint and you're not even, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money on something that I'm just going to put in a drawer, do not feel bad. This can be a great option. And you can look around to see if there's larger sizes if you want to work that way. You can cut them in half or even in quarters to make them smaller for travel, or if you just like working smaller. And then you aren't held back by the thought that, I'm not good enough to buy something that pricey or that nice, or I'm not good enough to own something so amazing. You absolutely are. It is about having fun and enjoying painting, not about any of that other stuff. So I hope you will look into some other options so that you can enjoy and have fun with watercolor painting. I didn't mention the watercolor pens marker kind of kit. These were only $12. And that was in 2024 at a big box store in my area. I was surprised to find them. I don't think that they're archival, but they might be. I still don't want that to hold you back, because it's more likely that you're going to paint it in your sketchbook, have a good time, and maybe look at it a few more times and then it's in a drawer, which is where a lot of my things are. But I thought we should explore these items and see what we come up with. So I'm going to actually start with this. I'm just going to putz around and you can see what goes on. I'm going to play a little music for you to enjoy. And I hope you're having a wonderful day. actually let that dry a little bit. I made this, and many people do this, just some areas where you have some different marks that you like to make. You could use an ink pen, which also is not expensive. really don't need to invest a lot of money in your supplies. You've seen how these performed. I like them all. This one, the larger set that I had, I actually kind of put them away already in my drawer, but this set, I think this set might be my most favorite. Even the little tin was nice. They all kind of had a different quality to their paints. So I hope you'll venture out and give them all, give them a try. Again, just base everything off of your budget as you go. And please don't let it stop you from having fun with watercolor painting. And explore different ideas for your painting. Lately, I've definitely been going outside of my comfort zone to see what else I can come up with. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for commenting and bringing up great topics like these. And happy painting. We'll see you next time. I accidentally bid you farewell before I could show you some of the other paintings that I have done with these inexpensive paints. Now this isn't the stuff that I usually paint. It was for a workshop for kids, but you can see all the variety that you can do. We did some painting of animals and that kind of thing, and I did some loose landscapes. Let me see if I can zoom out for you a little bit. These are really fun. I like to work in this style. George O'Keeffe used to do this kind of stuff. And then this, I used to do these, and I still do some house paintings for people who love their home or sell their home but love their home, and people that buy a new home. And these are all things you can do with an inexpensive paint palette. It doesn't need to be anything extensive. Now this one was one that I did to promote the work that I could do for other people. So this one I did use the inexpensive paints. When I moved into doing the actual paintings, I did use a more expensive paint so that I knew it wouldn't fade or turn a funny color or anything like that. But this has held up very, very well. I do not hang it. It is mostly in a drawer or in a box, but I think it has held up well for many, many years just fine. And now I will bid you farewell, and I hope this encourages you to try some of these fun paintings without hesitation because of cost. Happy painting!